which have deepened in recent years. In fact, Jordan is also a moderate Islamic nation in West Asia. Jordan has been a bulwark against radicalization, extremism, and terrorism. The country is also was playing an important role in the West Asia peace efforts. In fact, there is a meeting of mind between India and Jordan in dealing with terrorism. Both countries have deepened cooperation in countering terrorism. Jordan is also important for India as India imports significant amount of fertilizers from the country and has also invested in the potash and phosphate sectors there. So there is a lot of opportunities, and in fact, we've been told that there's going to be a lot of documents which will be signed between the two countries. Also, Ayushman, very important to highlight, this is the first visit of Indian Prime Minister to Jordan in 37 years. Last time around when Prime Minister Modi was in Jordan, he was on a transit visit to Jordan in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And at that point also, the government of Jordan accorded full ceremonial reception to Prime Minister Modi. This time he is on a full-fledged bilateral visit on the invitation of His Excellency, the Majesty of Jordan.
King Abdullah II.
Sheikh Abdullah II, and both countries have robust political, economic, defense, and people-to-people ties. In fact, on the sidelines of multilateral events, Ayushman, both leaders have been meeting. In fact, they have met 4 times in the past. And in fact, Ayushman, also very important to highlight, after the Pahalgam terror attack, Jordan was the first few countries in the West Asia to condemn the terror attack. And as I was pointing out before, both countries have a deeper cooperation when it comes to counter-terrorism. 15 of the Indian government companies are working in Jordan. There is 17,000 Indians living in Jordan. There's cooperation and opportunities in textile manufacturing sectors. In fact, there is also a direct flight which got started from Mumbai to Amman. Jordan also offers tourist visas, e-visas to India. So Prime Minister will be in Jordan for today and tomorrow. So he will also be going to the city of Petra, Ayushman, tomorrow. Today he will be holding restricted level talks with His Majesty and then followed by the delegation level talk. Tomorrow Prime Minister Modi will be going to Petra. In fact, Prime Minister Modi will also be holding the CEOs roundtable, the business forum in Amman tomorrow. So this is what we've been told. So it's going to be action-packed visit of Prime Minister Modi to West Asia, and very important to highlight that this is his first visit after the implementation of the first phase of President Trump's 20-point peace plan.
And Siddhant, at the same time, given the fact that all these 3 nations, Jordan, Oman and Ethiopia, they are seeking access to India's major domestic economy, trying to even get Indian tourism diverted to these nations, which can bolster their economy. We've seen the concessions coming in from several Middle Eastern nations like Bahrain as well. So clearly, the eye of all these nations is to have that economic access with India.
Well, absolutely, Ayushman. In fact, all these nations have a very close and civilizational ties with India. All these nations look at India as a potential market, as the next investment destination. In fact, if you talk about the sovereign funds of these countries in West Asia, Ayushman, then maximum of their investments in Asia has been diverted to India after China. So for them, India is the second important destination in Asia. So there's going to be a lot of document, as I was pointing out, in the sectors like textile, manufacturing, fertilizers, Ayushman. Already 15 Indian government companies are working in Jordan, contributing to the economy of Jordan. 17,000 Indian diaspora is present in Jordan. So it's a very, very important visit, and this full-fledged bilateral visit is happening after a gap of 37 years, Ayushman. Last time when Prime Minister was in Jordan, it was a transit visit in 2018. He was going to Palestine. But at that point in time also, the government extended full ceremonial reception to Prime Minister Modi. And this time around also, he is being accorded with the ceremonial reception right on his arrival.
Absolutely, and he was welcomed by the Prime Minister of Jordan, Jafar Hassan, arriving on the invitation of King Abdullah II. Thank you, Siddhant, for giving us that update as Prime Minister Modi kicks off the three-nation tour. Shifting focus back home, Delhi woke up to dense winter fog, sharply reducing visibility to near zero across the city and slowing early morning traffic. The Met Department issued an orange alert for 3 hours as the city's air quality worsened. The AQI slipped into the severe plus category, breaching 450 in multiple areas including Ashok Vihar and Noida. Thick smog blanketed localities like Anand Vihar, Akshardham and Dwarka, making driving conditions hazardous. As air quality collapsed, authorities activated GRAP stages 3 and 4. Non-essential construction and demolition have been stopped, but environmentalists have demanded a joint session of both houses of parliament along with an emergency action plan. Meanwhile, the Singapore High Commission has also issued an advisory for Singaporean citizens living or travelling to the Delhi NCR region. The advisory urges citizens to exercise caution in view of poor air quality. Getting a piece of breaking news which is coming in. Union Environment Minister is chairing a high-level review of the air pollution action plans of both Ghaziabad and Noida as part of a series of upcoming review meetings for the Delhi NCR region, looking at the different cities in the Delhi NCR region. Now, Bhupender Yadav, the Union Environment Minister, has called for strict on-ground implementation of air quality control action plans. He has directed zero tolerance for non-compliance and an emphasis to be given on Jan Bhagidari, citizen participation, as key to winning the fight against air pollution in the Delhi NCR region. That's the big piece of news that's coming in. So that action plan trying to be pushed by the central government, with those review meetings being chaired by Bhupender Yadav, the Union Environment Minister. But what is the situation on the ground? Early in the morning, there was a lot of pollution which slowed down early morning traffic. But now the time is coming for everyone to go back home. So traffic is at its peak right now, the commuter traffic. So what is the situation on the ground? I'm joined by my colleague Shrishti on the broadcast to get more details. So Shrishti, any let up in the air quality, and what can we predict for the days to come, given the fact that we're moving towards the festive season, Christmas and New Year's?
Right. So the air pollution in the national capital remains in the severe category. Now, according to the latest air quality forecast issued by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, the air quality is expected to be severe for another 24 hours or so, after which the conditions might turn favorable. Now, what happens here is that the Indian Met Department has already predicted dense fog over northwest India, especially Punjab, Haryana, as well as Delhi. So when there is intense fog and the pollution is high, there is high amount of pollution in the air, it leads to smoggy conditions, which is exactly what we are witnessing in the national capital. Now, in this meeting, which was held by the Union Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav. Now, if you remember, on 3rd of December, the Union Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav had held that meeting with all the stakeholders across the national capital region. So, as part of that series of meetings, the fourth meeting was basically for Noida.
Right, we'll try to reconnect with Shrishti over there. I think we've lost that line with her, but that is the update that's coming in from the central government, where Bhupender Yadav, you can see those visuals on your screen, having a review meeting about the different areas of the national capital region, Ghaziabad as well as Noida. He has said that there should be a zero tolerance when it comes to the air mechanisms on the ground to ensure that pollution is brought down. There should be zero tolerance in the implementation of those particular mechanisms. But at the same time, even though GRAP 3 and 4 have been implemented, Bhupender Yadav reviewing the implementation paradigm across the national capital region. At the same time, saying that public participation is essential. Shrishti is back with us on the broadcast. Shrishti, please finish what you were saying.
So yes, I was talking about the review meeting. So this was the first review meeting which was held for the cities of Noida as well as Ghaziabad, where they presented their action plan on how they're going to really bring down the pollution levels in their respective cities. There were certain important, talks which were held. So the various aspects to discuss, first of all, is how these cities are going to bring down the vehicular emissions. So they discussed plans for EVs, electric vehicles, what is the deployment, what is the future scenario likely to be. It was also discussed about how they're going to, ensure more greening, more green spaces in the two cities, because that is another way which can help bring down the pollution levels. They also talked about the action that they're taking against the industries. See, because when it comes to the national capital, we know that vehicles and industries are significant sources of pollution, and there are a lot of industries which are abiding by pollution norms. So it was discussed what action is being taken against these industries, whether the monitoring stations have been installed. There were officials from the Central Pollution Control Board, and they had to give their inputs about whether they are holding inspections in these industries as well. Also had to give data of the monitoring stations in both Noida and Ghaziabad. And after this meeting, in the coming meetings, more and more cities will be brought under. Remember, when it comes to the air pollution, it's not just Delhi, but the entire national capital region, which includes a lot of cities. So if we have to bring down the pollution, it has to be like an airshed approach where stakeholders from all these districts come together to focus on this pollution. Now, this has become an alarming situation because last 3 days the AQI has been in the severe category. It crossed the 100 mark yesterday, even mark, which basically is into the severe plus category. As of now, the stage 4 of the graded response action plan has already, been invoked across the national capital region. There are restrictions on the movement of vehicles. There are restrictions on, the various kind of activities. People are being urged to wear masks. So yes, so amid all this, there's a lot of pressure on the government also to act. And residents have also been highlighting that apart from just forming committees, it's high time that there should be some kind of an accountability from all the government agencies to take some strict measures so that there can be some improvement on the ground.
Absolutely. The
Back
question
to you.
remains, isn't more required than the standard action plans that are being discussed by the government? Because clearly, even with the implementation of the different stages of GRAP, we can see that the pollution crisis continues to escalate. So is more required? And at the end of the day, is implementation the key factor which is causing this prevention of pollution from coming down in the national capital region, and all these advisories coming out from the central government? Is implementation the main reason why pollution remains a cause of concern in the national capital region? Meanwhile, politics has erupted over the matter, with the Congress issuing a statement saying India simply cannot afford to pollute its way to prosperity. Increased pollution need not and must not be the price the people of the country are compelled to pay for faster growth. Congress has called for a debate on the matter in Parliament, but the Sena also told the same line, saying that the Delhi government is not being held accountable for the city's condition.
You do come from Chandigarh, and I know Chandigarh is happily pollution free. But is this an area of concern, you would say? And do you think parliamentarians need to, kind of give up on the politics and make this a big issue?
Well, in 2019, I had moved a 193 on pollution, and I had led the discussion in the Lok Sabha. Nothing has changed between 2019 and 2025. Pollution is worse. I have a 193 on pollution in this session also. So therefore, under those circumstances, this is the most critical thing Parliament should be discussing.
Priyanka, you're seeing the pollution figures. Is it important that everyone forgets the ideological or whatever differences, political, and come together on this?
Forget seeing the figures. We are feeling the challenges that the air pollution is bringing to our lives. And it is important that we discuss the Sabha politics and try and find solutions towards an issue which impacts every single person in this city as well as the country. We are seeing AQI levels rise beyond normal zones. These are emergency crisis like situation, and I think we need to rise above our politics and try and find a solution to this, because we now have a government in Delhi which doesn't hold itself accountable for what they're doing to the city.
I remember Rahul Gandhi had raised this issue, that this is one issue on which all of us needs to speak in one voice. You think that's the urgency?
Absolutely. We are not seeing a political angle in this particular matter. We need a creative solution. We have given notices under the section 193 for an open discussion inside the parliament. We expect a fair and transparent discussion in this particular matter. There is no blame game, but unfortunately my sources say that even the AQI monitoring is fabricated. The AQI monitor is designed in such a way that the pollution is way, way higher in Delhi. But there is a limit in which they shows, and somebody is controlling over that. Double engine ka sarkar hai na? We have a double engine sarkar in Delhi and the center. Who is stopping from what? They can do whatever they want to. We are just asking for solutions. We are just giving suggestions.
So away from the election tussle, the politics pivoting towards pollution now. It's erupted over the matter, with the Congress issuing the statement that India simply cannot afford to pollute its way to prosperity. Increased pollution need not and must not be the price the people of the country are compelled to pay for faster growth. While the BJP has maintained that the government is doing whatever it can when it comes to tackling the pollution crisis in the national capital, saying great strides have been made when it comes to controlling pollution as compared to the previous governments that were running the national capital. But at the same time, the air quality remains in the severe category. This remains an air emergency in the national capital, despite the assurances coming in from both the Delhi government as well as the central government. The central government also holding those review meetings talking about the implementation on the ground in the national capital region. But the question remains, is implementation being effectively enforced on the ground in the national capital region, despite the mandates coming in from GRAP IV and GRAP IV restrictions across the NCR region? But politics also erupting over the matter. I'm joined by my colleague Pallavi Ghosh on the broadcast to get more details, as pollution has become the center stage issue, Pallavi, as we move into the new years. What is the opposition's action plan going forward, given the fact that this will now be a topic of debate in Parliament?
Aishwan, they have been putting a multiple amount of pressure, and it's interesting. The maximum pressure is but naturally coming in from the Congress party, and then of course it's coming in from the Aam Aadmi party. I mean, AAP has a reason to take on the Delhi government because they feel that they were constantly attacked by the BJP, and today the BJP has much to answer for. But as far as the pollution issue is concerned, Ayushman, on the floor of the House, whenever the discussion takes place, we've got to slice our voices through the day. They are going to, one, criticize and attack the government for fudging the AQI figures. Second, for the Prime Minister himself not speaking and coming out with a plan. I mean, you heard what Priyanka Vadra had to say. She said it very categorically that, they just have a discussion on all kinds of topics, whether it's Vande Mataram, whether it is on electoral reforms. But on the key issue of pillars to the common man, on that the government has been largely silent. And so you are going to see, hopefully by this week, which is also happens to be the last week of Parliament session, that there will be some discussion on a people's issue. And yes, the government is going to come in under much fire from the opposition parties.
Right. But Pallavi, at the same time, given the politics surrounding pollution, the facts are that Punjab has seen a significant drop in farm fires. Even though there are a lot of farm fires, which is a concerning matter, there has been a significant drop in recent times, particularly this year. At the same time, the BJP is controlling Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Delhi and the central government. So those posers are coming in thick and fast from the opposition camp.
Yes, and that is absolutely true, and that is also the dilemma before the government as well. And I also think, given the political nuances and sensitivity of the matter, it may not be easy for the government to, kind of blame it only on stubble burning, because after all, it's a question of the Kisan. It's a question of the farmers, and there are some stringent laws in place. I think the more criticism which will come in from the Congress and from AAP will be on the fact that Delhi government doesn't seem to have taken cognizance. I mean, GRAP implementations are not taking place strongly on the ground. Second, there has been no clear-cut formula or plan coming in and announced by the Prime Minister. And Rekha Gupta also has not been able to walk the talk. And there are multiple steps which the government could have taken, but they haven't yet taken.
Absolutely, and the question remains, what happened to the artificial rain strategy that the Delhi government was supposed to implement when it comes to controlling pollution? It seems that after those initial tests, the plan has not moved forward, and clearly the results are for everyone to see, where the pollution crisis only escalates. But not just the pollution crisis when it comes to the national capital region, it's also affecting the entire travel sector surrounding the NCR region. Amid dense fog, airlines including Indigo and Air India have issued travel advisories warning passengers of possible delays due to poor visibility. Indigo has said that flight departures may take longer as operations adjust, and advised travellers to factor in extra time for road travel to the airport. Airport authorities confirm that flight operations are currently being conducted under the CAT3 conditions, which allow landings in low visibility but often lead to delays and disruptions. As of now, over 75 flights have been impacted, with at least 61 cancellations and 5 diversions. Passengers have been urged to check flight status with their airlines before leaving home. as airlines, airport teams and air traffic control continue efforts to minimize inconvenience while prioritizing safety. That is the situation when it comes to the transport sector as well. So it's not just the health of the people of the NCR region. The entire transport sector has been affected by this low visibility situation, and it comes at a very poor time given the fact that this is December and we're moving towards the festive season of Christmas and New Year's, where travel only moves up. I'm joined by my colleague Anvit Srivastav on the broadcast to get more details on the travel sector when it comes to the month of December and the challenges being posed by the pollution crisis. Anvit, what is the action plan going forward? The number of flights are only going to go up as we move towards Christmas and New Year's.
Certainly, Ayushman, and that too at a time when Indigo is also kind of recuperating from what happened, 8 to 10 days ago. And today, at least, there were more than 60 cancellations, and hundreds of flights were cancelled. At least 100 flights, more than 100 flights, in fact, in all were affected, leaving thousands of passengers stranded. Many of them whose flights had been cancelled were informed in time by the airline, and that is why they did not turn up to the airport. And so airports remained less chaotic as they were previously. However, at the same time, airlines are reaching out to passengers real time. They are also being sent emails and messages. We spoke to some of the passengers who had got emails 2 to 3 hours prior to their flight cancellation, and there have also been delays. So airport authorities and Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGC have also come out on social media telling passengers that they should check their flight timings real time and be connected with the airlines on social media or on their websites and through apps, so that real time of flight status can be checked. At the same time, Delhi Airport has made certain arrangements, not just in the forecourt area by deploying marshals to arrange to manage traffic and to increase sitting arrangements, F&B availability, but also they have now at Delhi runway 28 has also been equipped with Cat 3 ILS instrument landing system. So now at least 3 runways both sides, so 6 landings and arrival runways are now equipped with Cat 3. Cat 3 is usually used in the low visibility of less than 300 meters. Above 500 meters it is Cat 1 and rest is handled by Cat 2. So Cat 3 operations are now 6 runways, 6 sides of 3 runways are now available for Cat 3 operation, which also will help in smoothing and streamlining further operations in low visibility in times to come. But like you rightly mentioned, that it is a festive season, and with New Year's, flight operations only will going up and the footfall of the airports will only be rising. This certainly will remain a challenge for Delhi Airport as well as for the airlines to maintain calm and make sure that smoother operations continue.
Right, and Anvit, at the same time, as you are pointing out that Indigo is still recuperating, it is the largest domestic carrier, but at the same time, are the action plans in place for the other carriers, given the fact that as per the Met Department, the visibility crisis is only going to continue for the next few days?
See, enhanced runway visual range equipments are there to read real-time data of fog and visibility, and with the help of that, instrument landing systems are there to aid the landing and takeoffs of the flight. But at the same time, Cat 3 compliant is also not just on the airport's part, but also on the airline's part. The crew has to be Cat 3 certified, and then aircraft also need to adhere to those norms. So these are the reasons why cancellations happen even today. Despite Delhi Airport being Cat 3 compliant, there were delays and 61 cancellations. So these are also at the part of airline. They need to have more and more Cat 3 compliant crew, and that is one reason why usually delays happen. Also because of the nearby airports like Lucknow, Jaipur, Varanasi, and these airports, when there is dense fog and those flights cannot land, then they hover around or they land back to Delhi. So or there is a delay in takeoff from Delhi. So that based on destination weather also that also is a factor that affects flight operations in Delhi. So multiple factors there that affect flight operations from Delhi's international airport, and that is one reason why all the stakeholders, airline, ATC, MOCA, DGCA and the airport operator, they are all working together, not just to reach out to passengers in time and updating them of their real-time flight status, but also making efforts that if flights are delayed and if passengers are stranded, their inconveniences should be minimized.
Right. Thank you, Anvit, for getting us that update when it comes to the travel disruptions that are being caused by the pollution crisis in the National Capital Region. We will continue to track all the developments coming in on the pollution front. For now, a quick break. More news and updates on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
CNN News 18 with me, Griha. We are now getting some breaking news from Kolkata, and this is to do with Kolkata messy event fallout. Two more arrests in the vandalism case have been made. 6 who were part of the event management and organizers have been summoned by the police tomorrow. This is what we are learning at the moment as the messy mess saga continues from Kolkata. Remember, Kolkata police had already arrested the main event organizer, Shatadru Datta, in connection with the chaos and vandalism at the Lionel Messi event. And now there have been 2 more arrests which have been made, and 6 people who were part of the event management, part of the organizers, have been summoned by the police. And that will be, in fact, done tomorrow. They will be appearing before the police tomorrow. Remember, this event at Kolkata's Salt Lake Stadium, an iconic stadium that took place on Saturday on the 13th of December, descended into chaos when thousands of fans who had paid high ticket prices, which went up to over 12,000 rupees, were unable to get even a clear view of Lionel Messi because he was flanked by many of the VVIPs and their families. My colleague Kamalika with all of that information. Kamalika, 2 more arrests that have been made after the main organizer was already nabbed by the police. More on this, please.
Yes, there are 2 cases. 2 suo motu case has been initiated by the Bidhannagar Commissariat. One is the total mismanagement. On that case, Shatadru Datta has been arrested that very day. He's been questioned and he is under 14 days police custody. What we know of this case is another 6 people who were from these organizers, from this event management group, Manali Bhattacharya, Amit Das, Laltu Das, a lot of 6 people who were in this company, who were managing this event, they have been summoned tomorrow. On the other hand, so the audience vandalized the stadium. There are 2 people who have been till now arrested by the police. They will be produced in court today. 2 people who are involved in this vandalization case. Now, there are various aspects the police is investigating. Obviously, there are various questions on the police too. But what the police is investigating, there are several questions. Generally, in such a stadium, be it Salt Lake Stadium, be it Eden Garden, bottles are not allowed. And it was mentioned that bottles will not be allowed. But inside, bottles were sold at rupees 300. So, who has given the vendor? Who is behind this? That's a question which is there. That needs to be interrogated. How come so many people came into this playground? Who were those people? Police has also sought help from lot of channels, medias and YouTubers that who have videos of that day. So police is investigating that frame by frame. Obviously, another side, politics is happening in one place. Shubhendu Adhikari is saying, BJP is saying that it is the Trinamool. There is no doubt that the sports minister and his associates were there. So this is a question which BJP is raising. Sports minister can be there, but so many associates of sports minister. Even it is seen that the sports minister has brought in his nephew and niece to click photographs with Lionel Messi. See, in Mumbai and Hyderabad also there were photo ops with celebrities. The Tiger Shroff and all of them clicked photos. But the point is, the way here it has been done, that was uncalled for, and that has created some, that is what made the audience angry. So is it that Lionel Messi only came to have selfies with these celebrities in the playground? There was another meet and greet of sponsors and influential peoples who went there and we clicked photographs. There is no point on that. But the point is, here the people were annoyed because this sports minister,
too much of VVIP culture on display at the iconic Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata. Kamalika, thank you so much for that update. We'll come back to you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
CNN News 18 with me, Griha. We are now getting some breaking news from Kolkata, and this is to do with Kolkata messy event fallout. 2 more arrests in the vandalism case have been made. 6 who were part of the event management and organizers have been summoned by the police tomorrow. This is what we are learning at the moment as The messy mess saga continues from Kolkata. Remember, Kolkata police had already arrested the main event organizer, Shatadru Datta, in connection with the chaos and vandalism at the Lionel Messi event. And now there have been 2 more arrests which have been made, and 6 people who were part of the event management, part of the organizers, have been summoned by the police, and that will be in fact done tomorrow. They will be appearing before the police tomorrow. Remember, this event at Kolkata's Salt Lake Stadium, an iconic stadium that took place on Saturday on the 13th of December, descended into chaos when thousands of fans who had paid high ticket prices, which went up to over 12,000 rupees, were unable to get even a clear view of Lionel Messi because he was flanked by many of the VVIPs and their families. My colleague Kamalika.
And welcome back to the Nation at 5. Big breaking news coming in. Messi will be visiting Vantara along with footballer Luis Suarez and others. He will take off from Delhi in a short while from now for Jamnagar. He will stay there for one night. He will be hosted by Anant Ambani. Some weeks ago, remember, Vantara hosted Donald Trump Jr., joining a long list of dignitaries from India and abroad. I'm joined by my colleague Anand Narasimhan on the broadcast. So Anand, clearly Vantara is a beacon of India's conservation heritage, and now the GOAT gets a personal tour.
Yes, and this is, good evening Ayushman and to our viewers, this is the first visit of a huge dignitary or world superstars like Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez after Mr. Anant Ambani was recently awarded the Global Humanities Award. It's the first of its kind. That award was, since it's been instituted, and he's the first recipient of that award. So that's a big fillip. The other thing is that even these players have backed in the past various initiatives of conservation and service to life on planet Earth. And Vantara perhaps is the biggest service to life on planet Earth, and especially those animals or those living beings who cannot express their pain, who cannot express their suffering, who cannot express their agony. And it will be a great story for Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, who hold a huge amount of influence and import, not just in the US of A, but also back in their home countries and globally. For them to underline this message of conservation, underline this message of saving, animal species and from torture, from suffering, and to rehabilitate them and to give them some level of dignity towards the latter half of their life after a huge life of suffering. It will be a big message. And Vantara is also doing path-breaking work in the field of research, in the field of trying to preserve species which are near extinction, and also to bring back certain species and organisms which are critical for the survival on Earth, but who have perhaps in the last few decades gone extinct, to bring them back, and also to train veterinarians in wild animal cure and care. Because most vets are largely practiced and also are proficient with working with domesticated animals, but to care for the wild, to operate on them or to treat them for various diseases, etc., and to preserve their lives and to save them is a different story altogether. It's Mr. Anant Ambani's dream that 150 sanctuaries and nature reserves across Bharat should have trained veterinarians and trained team of doctors, and Vantara is willing to work with these sanctuaries to help them. So it's a big dream to try and help those which do not have a voice. In terms of living beings and species. So there are many species that are being preserved, conserved, rehabilitated after they've been rescued from places of severe torture or at a time when they're suffering big illnesses, etc., or they've been left or abandoned by their keepers, etc. So it'll be a great story, and it's and away from Delhi, away from the maddening crowd. Luis Suarez, Lionel Messi will be in the quiet of Vantara and Jamnagar for a whole evening and perhaps through the first half tomorrow.
Absolutely, and Anand, and Messi has attached himself to a lot of public service campaigns. He, in 2010, was a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. He's attached himself with a lot of social causes, and pretty much many social causes look to him for being that ambassador, given his platform. One tweet, one Instagram post from him puts a lot of initiatives on the map, and clearly Vantara being that success story when it comes to Indian conservation, it mirrors, and this marriage of both these personalities, Anant Ambani's initiative and Lionel Messi, is very essential for such a cause.
Yes, it is. And the point is that Vantara is not for the public. It is for the animals. And it is very rare, and only a few who are able to now, and after nearly a decade in operation and existence, Vantara has gone public just around the time Mr. Anant Ambani tied the knot. And it was the first time the world even knew that there exists a place like this, which is a haven for thousands of animals across various species, including elephants, wildcats, crocodiles, snakes, birds, insects. There are so many who have been conserved, and there is so much research that's happening, so many lives that have been touched, trainers, their families, free education for the children of the mahouts, etc. There is a lot that's being done. And internationally, globally, experts have been brought in to teach, to cure, to heal, to work with the team there. And Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and those accompanying them will be present to watch all of that. And perhaps they will take back with them a different perception of Bharat, a different perception of what Bharat can do and people can do. Many people say that you can be rich, you can be you have lots of money, but what you do with that money depends on the intent. And if the intent is of service, then we have a product, or we have a place like Vantara. And I'm sure Lionel Messi, out of his entire India trip, one of the posts that he'll surely make, or comments that he'll make, will be what he will see at Vantara. Because it is sure to blow their mind off, because they will not expect to see what they will see there. The kind of work that's being done is phenomenal. One has to go there to believe it. And I think this is perhaps worth the trip and worth the effort, this Jamnagar trip by these players.
Right. Thank you, Anand, for joining us on the broadcast and decoding that for us as Lionel Messi heads to Jamnagar to visit the iconic Vantara sanctuary, where animals are getting world-class care, which has put India's conservation heritage on the global map. We're shifting focus to a tragic piece of news, which is the Sydney terror attack. Remember, Bondi Beach on Sunday, where a Hanukkah celebration turned into a horror. 16 people, including one of the attackers, were killed in that terror attack, and more than 40 people were injured, among them at least 2 police officers. Authorities have declared it a terrorist attack targeting the Jewish community. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese condemned the massacre, calling it an act of anti-Semitism. US President Donald Trump condemned the attack as anti-Semitic as well, while Prime Minister Modi expressed support for Australia. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has targeted Albanese, blaming him for the attack, accusing him of encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia by recognizing the Palestinian state.
Very angry that something like this happened in Australia.
It's hard to believe.
Disappointing. A Jewish event where terrorists and murderers went to kill Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah. It's just unbelievable that in Australia this is allowed to happen. We're supposed to be the lucky country. We're supposed to be a country where people are allowed to express their religion freely, and where something like this happens is unbelievable.
It was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach. This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today. Today all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge, and we will eradicate it together.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
That was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody. I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people. But to Australia and the Prime Minister, to everybody that we know so well, we get along with so well, we have a great relationship. That's a terrible situation going on over there. Think of that. In Australia, you probably read they've it's been a very, very brave person actually who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So.
Why was Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu so critical of the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese?
Well, namaste to you and your viewers as well. The reason that the Prime Minister is so critical of the Australian Prime Minister Albanese is because Prime Minister Albanese in Australia has not only stood by, he's enabled violent assaults against Jews for the past 2 years since October 7th. You know, on October 9th, you had a crowd of people standing by the Sydney Opera Building screaming Jews to the gas, 2 days after the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. And the crowd wasn't dispersed by Australian authorities. The crowd openly calling for the genocide of Jews in Australia and everywhere else and threatening and taunting Australian Jews. Instead, the authorities...
Over there, think of that. In Australia, you probably read they've... It's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So.
Why was Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu so critical of the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese?
Well, namaste to you and your viewers as well. The reason that the Prime Minister is so critical of the Australian Prime Minister Albanese is because Prime Minister Albanese in Australia has not only stood by, he's enabled violent assaults against Jews for the past 2 years since October 7th. You know, on October 9th, you had a crowd of people standing by the Sydney Opera Building screaming Jews to the gas, 2 days after the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. And the crowd wasn't dispersed by Australian authorities. The crowd openly calling for the genocide of Jews in Australia and everywhere else and threatening and taunting Australian Jews. Instead, the authorities, the Australian authorities, told the Jews to stay home, to disperse, to walk away, and allowed this mob to seed and to have its message of genocide be legitimized in Australia. And since then, we have seen just attack after attack after attack, and each time, you know, they're warned, we tell them, we warn them, and they don't do anything. Instead, you know, the Australian government responded to October 7th, you know how? By giving $25 million to Gaza, by giving $25 million to Hamas. This is what the Albanese government has been doing since the very beginning of the war, and accusing us of genocide even before we even began operating on the ground practically. So, you know, we're talking about an administration in Canberra that has been enabling, facilitating the terrorization of Jews in Australia at the same time that it's condemning Israel as some sort of an outlaw nation for actually standing up to the terrorism that, as we warned would happen, caused the massacre yesterday on Bondi Beach in Sydney. That's why he's critical, because Australian Prime Minister Albanese was warned repeatedly. We warned him. The Jews of Australia warned him, and he didn't listen. Instead, he continued to empower the Palestinians, yes, by recognizing a state of Palestine. You know what? This woman came to Bondi Beach today, in the aftermath of the massacres, when you have the Jewish community milling about mourning what had just befell it, and she came surrounded by police guards armed in a keffiyeh and Free Palestine garb in order to taunt the Jews. And she was protected. She was protected. She came in there with full police protection. So it wasn't her message. It was the message of the Sydney police authorities that said Jews aren't even allowed to mourn in quiet and tranquility. We're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to allow this woman to come in and poke her finger in their eyes just hours after, before they've even started burying the dead. And when you still have dozens of people fighting for their lives in area hospitals. So yes, there's a reason to accuse Albanese of being responsible for this. He's presided over all of this.
Your first reactions to what transpired at the Bondi Beach, this carnage, how do you see it?
Well, first of all, it's a huge shock. It's shocking to see what had happened there. I lived in Sydney for 6 years. This Jewish community was my community. I was in this beach hundreds of times. This is one of the most touristic spots in Australia. And it was just appalling and shocking to see that in broad daylight, 2 terrorists came hunting for Jews with hunting guns, killing them one after the other, coming into a celebration. You know, this was a Hanukkah celebration where family gathers together to light candles, to play with dreidels, to have fun. And grandparents, Holocaust survivors were massacred, children. I mean, this is just shocking and appalling and heartbreaking. But I have to say as well, this was no surprise for us.
Let's just go back a few years to October 7th, once again an important time in the Jewish calendar, a terror strike. Now, three years later, you have another terror strike, this time in December, once again, on a very important Jewish festival, as you've yourself suggested. Common threads here?
We've seen throughout history that our enemies are looking into high holidays to try and target the Jewish community. You've seen just a few months ago an attack on the Manchester synagogue. They seek for religious places, for religious holidays to go and go on this rampage. And it should be very clear to you that, you know, this is not about some disputes about territory or anything like that.
So voices from Israel blaming the Albanese government for the situation on the ground, which has led to the Sydney terror attack. We will continue to track all the developments coming in. For now, a quick break. More news and updates on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
CNN News 18 with me, Griha. We are now getting some breaking news from Kolkata, and this is to do with Kolkata messy event fallout. 2 more arrests in the vandalism case have been made. 6 who were part of the event management and organizers have been summoned by the police tomorrow. This is what we are learning at the moment as the messy mess saga continues from Kolkata. Remember, Kolkata police had already arrested the main event organizer, Shatadru Datta, in connection with the chaos and vandalism at the Lionel Messi event. And now there have been 2 more arrests which have been made, and 6 people who were part of the event management, part of the organizers, have been summoned by the police. And that will be, in fact, done tomorrow. They will be appearing before the police tomorrow. Remember, this event at Kolkata's Salt Lake Stadium, an iconic stadium that took place on Saturday on the 13th of December, descended into chaos when thousands of fans who had paid high ticket prices, which went up to over 12,000 rupees, were unable to get even a clear view of Lionel Messi because he was flanked by many of the VVIPs and their families. My colleague Kamalika with all of that information. Kamalika, 2 more arrests that have been made after the main organizer was already nabbed by the police. More on this, please.
Yes, there are two cases. Two suo motu case has been initiated by the Bidhannagar Commissariat. One is the total mismanagement. On that case, Shatadru Datta has been arrested that very day. He's been questioned and he is under 14 days police custody. What we know of this case is another 6 people who were from these organizers, from this event management group, Manali Bhattacharya, Amit Das, Laltu Das, the lot of 6 people who were in this company, who were in the managing this event, they have been summoned tomorrow. On the other hand, so the audience vandalized the stadium. There are 2 people who have been till now arrested by the police. They will be produced in court today. 2 people who are involved in this vandalization case. Now there are various aspects the police is investigating. Obviously there are various questions on the police too, but what the police is investigating, there are several questions. Generally in such a stadium, be it Salt Lake Stadium, be it Eden Garden, bottles are not allowed, and it was mentioned that bottles will not be allowed. But inside, bottles were sold at ₹300. So who has given the vendor, who is behind this? That's a question which is there, that needs to be interrogated. How come so many people came into this playground? Who were those people? Police has also sought help from lot of channels, medias and YouTubers that who have videos of that day. So police is investigating that frame by frame. Obviously another side, politics is happening in one place. Shubhendu Adhikari is saying, BJP is saying that it is the Trinamool. There is no doubt that the sports minister and his associates were there. So this is a question which BJP is raising. Sports minister can be there, but so many associates of sports minister. Even it is seen that the sports minister has brought in his nephew and niece to click photographs with Lionel Messi. See, in Mumbai and Hyderabad also there were photo ops with celebrities. Even the Tiger Shroff and all of them clicked photos. But the point is, the way here it has been done, that was uncalled for, and that has created some that is what made the audience angry. So is it that they were Lionel Messi only came to have selfies with these celebrities in the playground? There was another meet and greet of sponsors and influential peoples who went there and we clicked photographs. There is no point on that. But the point is, here the people were annoyed because this sports minister,
too much of VVIP culture on display at the iconic Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata. Kamalika, thank you so much for that update. We'll come back to you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
CNN News 18 with me, Griha. We are now getting some breaking news from Kolkata, and this is to do with Kolkata Messi event fallout. 2 more arrests in the vandalism case have been made. 6 who were part of the event management and organizers have been summoned by the police tomorrow. This is what we are learning at the moment as the Messi mess saga continues from Kolkata. Remember, Kolkata police had already arrested the main event organizer Shatadru Datta in connection with the chaos and vandalism at the Lionel Messi event, and now there have been 2 more arrests which have been made, and 6 people who were part of the event management, part of the organizers, have been summoned by the police, and that will be in fact done tomorrow. They will be appearing before the police tomorrow. Remember, this event at Kolkata's Salt Lake Stadium, an iconic stadium that took place on Saturday on the 13th of December, descended into chaos when thousands of fans who had paid high ticket prices, which went up to over 12,000 rupees, were unable to get even a clear view of Lionel Messi because he was flanked by many of the VVIPs and their families. My colleague Kamalika with all of that information. Kamalika, 2 more arrests that have been made after the main organizer was already nabbed by the police. More on this, please.
Yes, there are 2 cases. 2 suo motu case has been initiated by the Bidhannagar Commissariat. One is the total mismanagement. On that case, Shatadru Datta has been arrested that very day. He's been questioned and he is under 14 days police custody. What we know of this case is another 6 people who were from these organizers, from this event management group, Manali Bhattacharya, Amit Das, Laltu Das, the lot of 6 people who were in this company, who were in the managing this event, they have been summoned tomorrow. On the other hand, so the audience vandalized the stadium. There are 2 people who have been till now arrested by the police. They will be produced in court today. 2 people who are involved in this vandalization case. Now there are various aspects the police is investigating. Obviously there are various questions on the police too, but what the police is investigating, there are several...
Sajid Akram was licensed to keep multiple guns, and so Australia's Prime Minister has also proposed tougher laws on including the limiting the number of guns licensed owners can keep, also reviewing their license validity, emphasizing that licenses should not be permanent. Do you think this is too little too late?
100% too little too late. Listen, 2 years ago in Australia, there was a synagogue that was burned. So banning matches, banning use of fire, that will bring elimination to the next possible attack? Of course not. There are 3 steps that each and every government needs to do. Number 1 is educate. You need to educate the people. What is anti-Semitism? What is hate the others? Respecting for religions. That's number 1, from very young ages, by the way, including media. Number 2 is legislation, because at the end of the day, the authorities would need some sort of a legal framework to act with. And number 3 is the enforcement of that legislation. In other words, if there will be laws and then there will be no punishments, then of course there will be no deterrence, and we will see this kind of activities go on and on and on. In addition to this, I'd like to point out that the Australian government does have an envoy for anti-Semitism. And this envoy actually submitted a plan. How should the country fight anti-Semitism? This plan needs to be implemented. And unfortunately, that is not the case until now.
All right. So important that you highlighted the synagogue, which was firebombed in Melbourne. Jews, as we all are aware, you also mentioned, have been threatened, attacked across the globe: New York, London, Paris, Berlin, Buenos Aires, you name it, Toronto. So it's not just about a threat to Jewish safety, but also something that should be viewed as democratic instability. And like Israel and the Jews, Indians are bearing the brunt of jihadist ideologies and Islamic terrorism. Apart from the fact that this is a wake-up call for the communities worldwide, yet nothing much is being done. What's the need of the hour?
So you mentioned the word democracy, and actually what we have seen in the last 2 years are different definitions of that word. For example, in Germany, the authorities do not allow even raising an ISIS flag or from the river to the sea kind of banner. In demonstrations, they immediately cut it off. But in other countries, like Spain, for example, like Belgium, like the Netherlands, we see that. Now, you need to understand the meaning of...
Good evening, you're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde. If you were to watch a broadcast from this time last year, you would have heard a similar story. You would wonder if this was a repeat telecast, because we're talking about the air emergency in Delhi and the National Capital Region.